is like before beginning another fresh session, I keep revising or re-encapsulating whatever we have been doing. And then another strategy that I normally follow is that after every 1.5 hour, I just quickly stop for a second and then we just quickly revise as well. That what exactly have we been talking about? So don't worry. Don't worry. So while all our other friends come back from the break, you will get a notification, Gurvinder. Don't worry. You will get a notification really very soon about the next class. Don't worry. So no worries, really. So on a very happy and a very cheerful note, so far, what have we been doing really? So far we have just spoken about what is reading comprehension in the CSAT exam. And we began by talking about the CSAT as such. Like CSAT is an exam where your aptitude is tested, 80 objective type or multiple choice questions are given to you, which you have to do in 2 hours period. Among all the other topics of CSAT, the most important one happens to be reading comprehension, because every year, at least 25 to 32 questions come from reading comprehension out of the total 80. Now, each question here is literally 2.5 marker question. And since we have negative marking in this exam, we need to be really very careful and we need to avoid guesswork, and we should just answer question only if we know the right answer for it. Unless we are confident, there's no use. Because if you attempt a wrong answer, your marks will be cut. If you leave behind that question, still there is no negative mark for it. So I always suggest no guesswork in comprehension. Now, comprehension is just the art of understanding, something that every human being does all the time, be it on social media, be it otherwise in life. We are always trying to comprehend or understand what is happening around us all the time. So therefore, it is nothing to be worried about. When we read something to understand it, it becomes reading comprehension. And in CSAT exam, you will get very small, very chota, very tiny, very squat passages, which you need to read and then answer questions based on that passage. Now, generally, these questions are taken from, they are generally picked from many backgrounds or many themes. Most importantly, economics or economy, then environmental, climate, temperature problems, places across the globe, ocean pollution, marine pollution, whatever. Then sometimes also from social problems like education system, gender inequality, the problems of women, child, education dropout rate, and rural development, agriculture, sometimes even from areas like national income, your GDP, your malnourishment, science, diseases, and so on, mixed kind of passages. And the most important thing that we need to do in solving these passages is to read them completely from the first word to the last word. No fast reading needed. No rapid reading needed. Take your time and easily read the passage. Don't panic. Don't rush through the passage. Do all the segments. If you think RC is a pain point for you, although I believe after this lecture it will not be, but still if you feel you are scared of RC and you think it's time taking, keep it for the last. Do the segment in which you are the best and the most confident first. As a rule in life, always, whichever segment and topic you are most comfortable in. If it's arithmetic, pick up the math question first. If it's reasoning, do reasoning first. Accordingly, you arrange the order. If you are leaving behind RC for the last, still don't panic, don't rush through. Take your time and read the passage from top to bottom. Then only you will see the questions. In these passages, the most important thing is to identify the main idea or the central point or the crux or the gist of the passage. Because main idea always contains a noun. That's very important. All other ideas are supporting and less important ideas. Generally, they are adjectives or verbs which describe something about the noun. That is the main thing in the passage. Now, I told you 3 kinds of questions. Yes, it's also becoming difficult. 3 kinds of questions are always asked in this CSAT RC exam. One is PBQ, one is TBQ, one is IBQ. Passage-based question. Easy direct question. Theme-based question, which directly asks you what's the main idea of the passage. Last, inference-based question, for which you have to become a detective and you have to see the evidences in the passage and read between the lines and come to a logical, now mind you, logical conclusion. Okay, we did some sample questions for this, and then we also did a sample question for inference-based question, the most difficult one. Also, majority questions in CSAT will be from IBQ. Very few will come from PBQ, and somewhere in between it will be TBQ. Since IBQ is the toughest, it cannot be solved without using the 5-step formula or the golden formula which we teach you here. So now that we have given a background, now that we've given a quick revision, let's quickly now start with the golden rule which everybody has been waiting for, and the 5-step formula which shall make the job of reading comprehension easy for you. Okay. Shall we begin with the golden formula? Shall we start spilling the secrets if everyone is here and they all agree? No, they can't be. This is only for CSAT RC, not for compulsory paper. But why are you looking so sad? Sakshi, what happened? No problem. Okay, so let's begin now with the golden rule or the 5-step formula. One more thing, happy, be cheerful, be excited, smile, because if we are happy, we will not forget this class until old age. If you are sad and anxious, tomorrow morning you will forget it. So one thing is, whatever you read with happiness. UPSC is not a burden. It's a very enjoyable journey. Only 2 things happen in UPSC exam. Either you become an officer or you become a very learned individual. There is no defeat in UPSC. You know that? There is no defeat. So therefore, smile. No pressure, no tensions allowed. Yes, I will take. All right. To begin with, and the very first rule in the 5-step formula is generally in any passage, if any answer option among A, B, C, D contains any kind of extreme word, then there is a very, very high possibility that it will be wrong or it will not be correct. So what are these extreme words? The extreme words are words which take a very, very extreme. See, I told you it's already improved. See, hard work can make anything possible. So extreme words are words which are always, expressing some kind of an extreme feeling or extreme situation they are painting. And generally all the passages have a very, very neutral kind of a tone, They always have a very balanced perspective. They never really contain something that is extreme in belief or extreme in expression. So therefore, all the options which carry extreme words like only, always, never, none, all, every. Generally, if answer options will include one of these words, there is a very sound or very high probability that it shall be wrong. So we can eliminate that choice. Now, 2 very logical questions come from among students when I tell them this rule. Okay, when I tell them this rule. Pardon me for the water, it's not a comfort, it's a necessity. I will show you example. I'm apologetic if I missed any question, Yash. It's not deliberate. While talking, I end up missing some questions. I've tried everything, nothing is working. Anyway, so if any answer option has extreme words, there is a very high chance that they will be wrong. Once again, what are these extreme words? Only, always, all, none, every. Okay, fine. Now, there are some people who ask me always that, ma'am, 100% will this trick work? If we see extreme word in any answer option, should we close our eyes and mark it as wrong? I said, no, don't do that. A lot of students also started doing one thing after we told this trick. They stopped reading the passage completely. They didn't even see the passage. They just saw the options, they found the extreme words and they marked it wrong. Well, most of them still were able to sail through. They passed it because, the trick generally does work. But what also happens is that it is a trick. It is one of the 5 steps that we teach you. Nothing can be 100% because there can be exceptions. I'm not saying the exceptions happen usually. They won't happen usually. You will always notice 95% of times extreme strategy will work correct. But still there is a 5% chance. For example, if 5% chance this rule fails, then it will fail in the case of passage-based question. Do remember. 95% it will work, but 5% if the extreme word strategy will fail, then that 5% question will generally be passage-based question. Then what will happen? The line or the option will be taken word by word from the passage. So even if it has extreme word, we can't help it. It still will be correct because it's a passage-based question. In the case of inference-based question and theme-based question, this strategy will work 100%. But in the case of passage-based question, you don't know. It's only 95% accurate. So which also means no law is universal law, trust me. So it also means that you have to read the passage. While I am only telling you that the strategy works, but I'm same person, I'm telling you that please do not think that you can get away without reading the passage. That's not right. That's not correct. You have to read the passage. But otherwise, do be very cautious that 95% times words, options with extreme words will be wrong. 5% times if they will be correct, then it has to be passage-based questions. Agreed? Now let's see some examples. Just have a look at this passage. Also, while you see the sample passage, just notice the small length of the passage. I told you after 2015, in UPSC CSAT, only squat passages comes, which mean very small passages. So you can actually read the passage without getting worried. Now let's have a look at this 2015 CSAT passage. Please read the passage. I request each and every student read the passage. Take your time. Then let's try to solve it using the extreme word method. Let's see if it helps you or not. Take your time. Read the passage. May I move on to the question? Yes, Hindi translation will also be there because CSAT is in both the mediums, Hindi and English. Okay, you use the same method. You already know about the method. That's beautiful. It can sometimes work in GS, but it works really well in reading comprehension. Passage, please. Okay. Mass nesting means they take care of their eggs together in a group. They take care of their eggs and little ones together. Nesting, the process of giving babies or giving eggs. Creches are like daycares for human beings. We have daycares. If somebody is a working mother, where will the child go? Daycare. Similarly, creche is also a daycare. All right, the poll result is out. 77% people go with C, which is brilliant. However, 10% people said it's D. So let's clarify that whether those who got it right did use the extreme word strategy. Now, this was a very, very inference-based question, which doesn't mean we should not have read the passage. But the passage was very small because the passage was taken from, you can say, environment ecology, because it is talking about an animal or a bird rather. And it says flamingos. Now, what are flamingos? Those pink and red color, beautiful birds. They are like swans, big birds with feathers. So flamingos in large flock. Flock is a group. So these flamingos, they live in huge groups. In the wild, in the forest. What is wild? Jungle. In the forest, they are living. These animals are very social. They really interact with each other. They are very sociable animals. They're very friendly. And they are extremely loyal. Loyal to whom? To each other. They're very loyal to each other, to their children, to their mates, to all those. And they perform group mating dance. Now, mating dance is something that a lot of animals and birds perform, like peacock. When you know that peacock dances when it rains, it's not because of the rain really. It's the male peacock who dances with all the feathers out because he wants to attract the female peacock. That's how birds and animals mate with each other. They have a very elaborate mating ritual, and generally it's the male bird which attracts and fights for the attention from female birds. So like that, these people also have very elaborate mating dances, like they all dance together during the mating season. Now, parents are very fond of their children, which means parents really love the small chicks that they have, their babies. And what do? Because they are living in the wild, in the dangerous jungle and forest, whenever the mother and the father flamingo, they go out to hunt, when they go to find food, they gather their children, they collect or they keep their children safe in creches. What kind of creches? Obviously, they don't have the proper daycare and school. They are animals after all. So they keep the children in the protection of other birds. Like, for example, different parents will go to find food and the children will be taken care of by other birds of the same group. That's what they do, so that the children can be safe. Why do they need safety? Because they are living in the wild, please remember. Now, while both male and female, they go in search of food. And that's the passage, very, very small. That's the passage. So what's the main idea of the passage here really? What's the main idea of the passage? If we are to differentiate the main idea and the supporting idea, how would we do that? So the main, more than flamingos, it is about the fact that flamingos are so fond of their children and they are so social in nature that they are trying to protect their children. It is a kind of mechanism in which the parents are so careful in protecting and saving their child so that the child is able to survive and live. Why? Because they live in a very unsafe environment, which is the wild and which is the forest. Since they are very social and loyal, they have a duty towards their children. The mother and the father together go and find food for the children. One example of loyalty. Another example of loyalty, in their absence, other members will actually come and take care of their kids. So it's the loyalty and the survival skill here that becomes the main idea of the passage. While all other things, like the parents are fond of their children, for example, they go out in search of food, for example, these people perform mating dances. All these could be very, very secondary ideas about them. Now, having understood the main idea really, if we now see the question, it is an IBQ because you have to find the most logical corollary of the passage. But now, since I have the first strategy with me, which is avoid options with extreme words, instead of really taking stress or instead of really wasting my time, I can use that strategy. A, mass nesting in all species of bird. Obviously, there is an extreme word, so A cannot be correct. That's the strategy. But even logically thinking, the passage is only talking about one kind of bird species, that's flamingo. The passage is not talking about any other species. Then why can we presume that mass nesting in all species of bird is important to ensure survival of their children? How do we know? How can we say? How do we know? We have only read about one species, that's flamingo. Why will we presume about others? Tell me. Why? So obviously A is anyway invalid and the extreme word makes it more easy to me that it is wrong. Second, only. Now again, red alert. Only is also an extreme word, as I told you. All, only, every, none. Always. Only birds have the capacity to develop social behavior and thus can do mass nesting to raise their children in safety. How do we know? Are you and I zoologists? Are we botanical scientists? How can we say? How do we know that only birds have the capacity for social behavior? Maybe animals also have. How can I predict something unless I'm a scientist, or how am I even supposed to do that? This is only reading comprehension, right? My only source of information is the passage. How does it matter to me? And anyway, it's an extreme word, so it has to be wrong. C, social behavior in some species of birds. Now, social behavior, obviously we are talking about social behavior of flamingos. In some species of birds increases, improves the odds, the chances of survival in an unsafe world. Well, yes, that seems to me the most logical corollary behind the passage, because the main idea of the passage was survival skill of flamingo. Yes, it was the survival skill. The fact that they live in an unsafe world. The fact that they live in the wild. Therefore, these people also protect their children and gather them into creches because they really want them to survive. And that's why C is the most logical choice. And even by the theory of elimination, D says all species of birds. Again, extreme word all. I know extreme word will not be correct in the case of an IBQ, inference-based question. It is not a passage-based question, which means the strategy will be very accurate and I can close my eyes and say D cannot be true, which leaves me with just one answer, C. So now you tell me. Oh no, odd means the chances of survival. The possibility of survival increases. Why? Because social behavior exists. If social behavior is not there, then if the parents go to find food, who will take care of the child? Nobody will take care of the child. The child will die. Somebody will hunt on the child. They are small babies only, right? Because these birds are social and they have a social behavior, they ensure that they will support and help each other. And that's why they are able to survive and they are able to ensure the survival of their offsprings, making C a very valid answer. It's a 2015 passage. And now you tell me, does the strategy number 1 really makes it easy for you to answer the question? Yeah, obviously. Why not? Why not? If somebody feels no, why does it not help you? Tell me. It does? Okay. So if the extreme word strategy really has helped you in answering this question, let's have a look at another example. And this passage is also been taken from CSAT UPSC examination 2018. So I request you to very carefully read the passage and then try to answer the question. Take your time. What are the odds means? Odd is a very general word. Odd could mean something that is very different and unique. But odds means what are your chances and possibilities? For example, what are my odds of passing in the exam? What are the possibilities that I will pass in the exam? So the chance, the possibility that you have. C was the right answer. Frugal means poor, deprived. No, it can work in other cases as well. Extreme word can be in all three. Extreme word can be in just one. Wherever it comes, it helps you in eliminating that choice. By reading the question itself, this question says crucial and logical inference. It means it's an inference based question. If the question asks you a specific detail from the passage, specific point, that becomes a passage based. Right, so the results are out, and 83% people have again gone with C, but 11% people say it's D. So I really want to know why did 11% people say it's D? I really want to know that. No, they don't use different terminology. For inference-based question, only 6 type of words are there. I have already told you: corollary, inference, implication, logical, rational. That's all. Okay, let's read the passage then. Today, the top environmental challenge is a combination of people and their aspirations. The very first line tell me that it's an ecological based passage or it's a geography based passage because we are talking about environmental challenge. The biggest environmental problem of today's time is a mix of two things. One is human beings are a problem. Another thing is why they are a problem. They are a problem because they are very greedy, aspirations. They have huge desires. They have very, very elaborate needs, and that's a problem. If the aspirations are more like the frugal ones, now frugal would mean very, very simple or very, very poor. If the aspirations are very simple, like the aspirations of those people who were alive during the time of Second World War, that generation of people were very simple in their needs and demands. They never needed super luxuries of life like permanent air conditioning, luxury cars, smartphones, and the biggest of malls to shop from, elaborate food, expensive clothing. All that was not needed back then. But today it's not like that. People have a big deal of aspiration. So, if the aspirations and the needs are very simple and frugal, like in the Second World War time, a lot more is possible. What is possible? A lot more is possible for us to protect the planet. A lot more is possible for us to protect our environment and climate and the natural resources than or as compared to a situation when we see our own planet as a giant shopping mall. We need wood, we cut the trees. We need water, we use up all the water and we exploit and abuse water. We need animals to eat or to, create material from their skin. We do poaching, we kill the animals, we hunt upon them, or we burn fossil fuel. There are massive industries, there is massive urbanization, there is massive kind of, you can say, exploration going on for natural gas and minerals. We are ruining the planet because we see that it's a shopping mall. Today we have the machine and the technology. We can buy anything from the planet for free. So we should not abuse and exploit our planet. That's the whole problem. We should be like the people of the generation of Second World War who had simple needs. Only then it's possible for us to protect the world. So what's the solution? Now, if the passage has given you a problem, in the last line, the passage has given you a solution as well. We need to get beyond the fascination. We need to go away from. We need to move away from the fascination, the love, the attachment, the desire with all the glitter. Glitter? The materialistic glitter, the glitter of money, luxury, comfort, that kind of glitter and glamour we have to go away from and understand that. Planet works like a biological system. This planet is not like a shopping mall. It's not a commercial entity. It works like a very sensitive ecology. It's like a biological living system, everything is alive here. So we have to take care of it like that. Otherwise, what happens? We will only suffer because we are losing everything now. Okay, so that's the passage. Now, the question is very clearly an inference-based question because it said, which is the most crucial and logical inference that you can make from the passage. Now, whenever the words like crucial, logical, inference comes, we know completely it's an IBQ. And as I told you, in CSAT, no option is wrong. Very few are wrong. You have to select not the right option, but the most logical and crucial option. I told you even the questions of UPSC come like this only. They never ask you which is the right choice. Select the best, select the most valid choice. They always use the word most, which is the most crucial and logical, which means all of these can be logical, but you have to select the most logical and appropriate choice. You can. Glitter means glamour, show, money. That's true. There is an irony in the passage, and I wouldn't deny that. Now, the question, which is the most logical inference? A, the earth can meet only. Stop here. The word only is an extreme word. And given that it's an IBQ, I know this strategy will work successfully. So I will not waste my time. B, the only extreme word. Stop here. I'm not using this because I know it's an IBQ. I will not waste my time. C, reducing our consumerism is very much in our own interest. But in the last line also, I can see in option number D, there is an only word, which means extreme word, which means without thinking or taking too much stress, I can say that C is the valid choice on the basis of my first rule that avoid options with extreme words. Now, even if I hadn't known the rule, most logically, we can say the passage has not told you anywhere that the earth can only meet the basic needs of human. Did the passage say that? That only food, clothing, and shelter can be provided? No. Maybe the earth does so much more for you. Maybe it gives you spiritual upliftment. Maybe it gives you aesthetic, or you can say some kind of a touristic happiness, beautiful scenery. So you can't presume that. B, that, if you cut down human population, is the passage talking about population or demography? No. D, the knowledge of biological system can only help us in saving the planet, which means only scientists and biologists can help in saving the planet. Common man cannot do anything. He or she is useless. How's that? Even as a very average, uneducated or illiterate person, if I care for my planet, if I go the organic way, if I grow trees and I stop using plastic, I can do so much for my planet. So anyway, D is illogical and very silly. And plus I have the extreme word option with me, which helps me in saying the answer C is absolutely valid. So now can somebody please tell me that what was the problem in this passage really? Two things. One thing, did extreme word strategy help you here? Next thing, for those who answered D, why did you answer D? Please, can you please tell me why did you answer D? So that I can understand where exactly are you going wrong. So I'm not asking you to trouble you or anything. I'm just asking, why did those of you who said D thought that it was D? Because once I know why did you think, I can actually help there. I can address that problem. Okay, if it's by mistake, it's okay. They like option D, and I don't think anybody will like option D. Achha, because of last line. Thank you very, very much for enlightening me on that. It's so important to know, thank you so much. So very valid observation. So a lot of people said option D because of the last line, because the last line said we need to go beyond all the fascination with glamour and glitter and understand that the planet works as a biological system. But can this be the most logical inference that we can draw from the passage? No, the last line is only the solution to the problem that we are exploiting the planet. So even in this passage, if we try to see which is the main idea and which are the supporting ideas. So the main idea actually is that today, the biggest environmental problem that we are experiencing is the fact that people's aspirations are very, very high and that they view the planet as a giant shopping mall. So when you see something as a shopping mall, when you are very greedy and your desires are very high, which means the main point or the main idea of the passage is consumerism or too much consumption or too much greed that modern day individual has. Now, other things like the generation of Second World War, like the fact that planet works as a biological system, like the fact that, if we had frugal aspirations, if we go beyond the glitter. So all these things again become the supporting ideas, you see. But the main idea is that please, let's just try to stop our greed and understand that planet is a living reality, and therefore D will not be the most logical main point of the passage. Plus, of course, you have the extreme words to help you. No, it is absolutely not a PBQ because the question used the word inference. Then how can you say it's a PBQ? I told you very clearly. If question has words like implication, inference, logical, corollary, most rational implication, then it has to be an IBQ. Then what's the confusion there? You only think. Is it possible that if somebody has knowledge of biology system and ecology and only can then they help us in saving the planet? Means all these tribal communities who do so much, who are so eco-friendly, all these people who are from village and who actually don't even have a higher education degree, but still they are saving the planet more than any one of us by using, plant-based things, by practicing things like veganism, by actually saving the earth. Are they all scientists? No. So what logic does that mean? So the word there means something that's there. The glass is kept there. The screen is there. The camera is there. It is about when you're trying to put the location of something. Are you there? Means, do you exist at that point? Are you still there? So it's about you are locating a noun or an object. But there is a possessive pronoun. A possessive pronoun means when you are trying to say that this thing belongs to somebody. So this is their child, or she is their daughter. It's about possession, that this belongs to somebody. That's the difference. Yes, in IBQs, 99.9% extreme word strategy does work. Absolutely. Okay, are we satisfied with this question? Generally, every year, as I said, 70% IBQs are only coming. Sometimes, like for example, in 2021, it was like only 50% IBQs, and you had a good deal of 40% theme-based questions, then 10% were passage-based. So the number can fluctuate, but majority always goes to IBQs. Okay, so with this, we can proceed then with okay, this is just a repetition. We'll mark this off. All right. So this brings us to the second golden rule, or the second step in my 5-step formula. The very first one was avoid the options which have extreme words, which is highly applicable in the case of inference-based and theme-based questions. Only in the case of passage-based questions, it may not work. Now, with this, the next most important formula and strategy I want to share with you is that in written comprehension, you are expected to comprehend only whatever is written in the passage. Only. See, reading comprehension is like COVID-19 pandemic. It does not do bias among anyone. A student who is highly experienced, a student who is new, a student who is double PhD, a student who is only graduate, a student who is giving for the first time, a student who is giving for the 5th time, a student who is very good in English language, a student who doesn't know English. Reading comprehension does no bias against anyone. No bias. It is an unbiased topic. Why? Because it is only about understanding whatever is written in the passage and then answering the question only on the basis of, now mark the word only on the basis of information written in the passage. Nothing from outside is allowed. Please do not use your common sense here. Do not use your general knowledge here. Why? Because reading comprehension is not a test of your language ability. It is not a test of your general knowledge at all. You know, why is it given in CSAT exam? Because it is an aptitude test. It is not given here as a part of English language. It is given as a part of verbal ability. Understand the difference. RC in CSAT is given as a part of verbal ability, verbal reasoning. It is reasoning. It is not English. It is not, only medium is English. The test is not English language. Test is the capacity of making logical assumption only on the basis of passage. So while you read the passage, your entire life should be focused on this passage. Nothing from outside is allowed. As an example, let's quickly have a look at the passage from 2020, which is the toughest year for CSAT so far. Let's quickly see this passage. Try to answer the question, and then I will tell you why nothing from outside is allowed in the passage. Take your time, read the passage. Extreme words only, all, never, every, none, always. This golden rule is applicable in the case of all the questions of CSAT, PBQ, TBQ, IBQ, all of them. The option number D says, water supply should not be free of cost. Water supply should not be free of cost so as to prevent its misuse or overuse. Don't do guesswork. Try to think. Now, 36% people say it's C, 45% people go with B. Okay, very interesting. Let's run the poll again because I think some mistake happened. Very less time was given. Let's run the poll again, no problem. It was by mistake. I'm sorry. Just a technical error here. I should have given 1 minute, 10 seconds. I was planning. It happened to come like 10 seconds. Take your time. Think. Don't do guesswork. Just see the main idea, see the supporting idea, and then you see which is the most logical and rational. Most logical. Not right, wrong. Most logical as per the passage. IBQ. How does it matter? Even if you know the answer. Maybe it was wrong, maybe it was right. You want to again think of the word, think. We're not really doing a competition. It's about understanding why is it the answer. Even if it's right, why? Class will be till 8. Data changed. 81% people have now gone with C. Okay, no problem. Still, not everyone. Fine. Let's understand the passage. So the golden rule was nothing from outside is allowed. All right. Okay, we'll talk about it. Let's see the passage. By the way, making mistake is totally acceptable here because 2020 was an atom bomb year. I told you, the toughest year for CSAT. The passage says one of the biggest ironies around water. What is an irony? An irony is a very sad paradox. A paradox, a situation which is very, very sad at the same time, it is also very paradoxical. Means something is happening and it should not happen. So the biggest sad paradox about water is that it comes from rivers and other wetlands. Now, what are wetlands? Wetlands are areas which are by and large across the year underwater. They can look like a lake or they can look like a small pond. Sometimes they look like a marsh, like in Hindi you call it daldal. Now that is also known as a wetland because it has water inside it. Sometimes you will cross the road, you will see there is a river on which green plants have grown completely. You think it's a bad area, it's a very destroyed area, but that's not true. These plants are known as water hyacinth. And even under these plants, there is complete water. So it is not a wasted area. It is a wetland because it has water under it. So what is the main source of water? Who is the parent of water? Where is water coming from? Either fresh rivers or wetlands, right? That's the thing. But what is the paradox? The paradox is that although water is coming from river and wetlands still, or yet it is considered as divorced from them. Divorced, another very fancy word for saying separated from them or different from them. Okay? It means although it comes from river and wetland, but it is considered not as a part of it. It is considered something completely different from that. Why? Because while water is as a resource, now for common people, water is nothing but a resource for cooking, cleaning, sanitary works, and whatever, watering the plants and whatever, drink. Water is something that we use as a commodity. Commodification of water is taking place. Public policy, which means the government laws and the government's does not understand, which means although people are using it as a commodity and is also not trying to understand that water is a part of ecosystem. As I said in the first line, or as the passage said in the first line, it is wetland. Source river and wetland, but we are the commodity, use and throw commodity. And government also, because it is a part of only government forest buy from government also understand what? That it is a part of natural ecosystem. No, it is not a commodity to use and throw. So what the government and public policy do, it tries to make efforts at engineering water system. Now, engineering, another very good word for saying creating, manufacturing, or developing, constructing. Like you can say, I created a solution, I engineered a solution. Just a good word for that, okay? So all the efforts that the government is doing at constructing water systems. What kind of water systems? Canals, dams, irrigation projects, pipelines of municipal board from where the water is provided from a fresh source into water tankers, supplying into various houses. All this elaborate water system through which water is traveling from one place to another are all efforts targeted at augmenting water supply. Now, what is augmentation? Augmenting is trying to boost something, trying to increase something. For example, I can say that the government is nowadays giving subsidy to the farmers so that their produce can be augmented. Okay, if we need to protect the environment, we must augment activities like growing plants. Augmentation is increasing or boosting something, encouraging something. So since the government doesn't understand that it is a part of ecology and we are all seeing this as a commodity of use and throw, the government is creating all water systems. People can get water and drinking, but